American Beauty, everyone, is turning 20 this year. Hard to believe. September 1999, is when it came out, and now it's 20 years later. I'm looking at my list, and I know I've reviewed American Beauty before, but it's important. The way I look at it, it's very important to reevaluate this movie if I'm going to actually review other 1999 movies. So that's why I'm reevaluating it. Now, if you haven't been able to tell, if you can see this poster, I'm a big fan of American Beauty. That wasn't always the case, though. In fact, if you look at my review in 2015, I thought it was good. I really liked it, but I didn't love it the way I do now. See, American Beauty for me is a movie that it's always seemed to have come across me during important times in my life. This was a movie that I came across first when I graduated senior year of high school. And that really struck me. Like the movie struck me, but not enough to like really kind of resonate fully. And then when I first met my girlfriend, I came across the movie again. And obviously in between those two big events in my life, I had seen it multiple times. The premise is simple, albeit not really a premise that you can fully explain to like family members per se, depending on your family, of course. But the premise is simple. It's about Lester Burnham, who is a suburban dad who's lost track of his life and is suffering from a midlife crisis. He goes to a basketball game where he sees Jane, his daughter, and her friend, and he becomes infatuated with her friend who is underage. And so begins his journey of rediscovering himself. Now, this movie is about discovering yourself, and not only just for Lester Burnham, but just pretty much every single character, from his wife, Caroline, which is played excellent by Annette Bening, to the king of real estate, also rediscovering himself, Jane. The only people, honestly, in this movie that haven't rediscovered themselves, and keep in mind, when I'm saying this, keep in mind I'm saying this based on when this movie came out. The only people that haven't rediscovered themselves and are fine with themselves because they've already discovered themselves is Ricky Fitz and the two gay neighbors, Jim and Jim. And this is an insight I had when I first saw the movie. I picked up on it. And at first I didn't like it, but I also have changed a lot in the past 5 years. But it's interesting because for me personally, you look at these three characters, and during this time period, they were looked at as not the best of people. But it's funny because the people that are getting judged upon all the time are the very people that are happy and content with themselves. And this movie's all about being happy and content with yourselves. And I'm glad that 20 years later, when you look at this, you're like, wow, this is awesome. This is a movie about, discovering yourselves. And some people have already discovered themselves, aren't happy and content with themselves. And that's what this movie's all about, is coming to terms with that. And I liked it. I think this movie has really great messages, honestly. And I know that some people are like, oh, well, the premise, it's a premise hard to like swallow. But like, think about it like this. The premise is simply the cherry on top of a big cake full of many layers. And also some people might say Kevin Spacey, like, oh, about the whole scandal. Look, that's his personal life. In terms of the film, Kevin Spacey knocks it out of the park. This is one of the best performances I've ever seen in film. Not gonna lie. Kevin Spacey kills it as Lester Burnham. Annette Bening also kills it. Chris Cooper is also in the movie. He's great in it. Wes Bentley is amazing in this. Thora Birch. They're all great. The cast is universally reformed, and I loved it. I think they're all fantastic. They're backed up by, I think, clever editing techniques. Like, the movie is honestly one of the few films I can say is perfectly paced. There's not a single second that is in this movie where I'm like, you know what? They should have taken it out, or, oh, it's a little slow here. It's a perfectly pitched film, and I think that's what makes it so in tune with itself, as well as the tone. The tone is perfectly balanced, which is helped by the directing and the writing. Alan Ball writes the heck out of this movie. It is top-notch writing. I mean, not only is this movie equipped with a lot of like witty dialogue, but it's backed up by very effective drama. I think that the film manages to wove all these different threads into a cohesive film. And I think it works too, because you have the Burnhams and all that they're going through. And then you also have the Fitz, the military family, all that they're going through. And to see the juxtaposition and even some of the similarities between the family, it's very interesting, I think, personally, as someone that lives in the suburbs. Now, again, I know that not everyone lives in the suburbs, so people might not be able to relate as much. But for me personally, I was really able to relate to this movie. And if you notice, I've been talking about character development, story, writing, all that. I haven't even gotten to the technical aspect. I always talk about that in my reviews, and I think that this movie it looks incredible. I mean, if you look at the cover, that famous image of her just like in roses. This movie is perfect in terms of cinematography. I mean, it is luscious, very beautiful. They use red very well. The rain scenes are also incredible. I think that this director of photography is really good with that. He also did the photography of Road to Perdition, which was his last movie that he did the photography for. But he knows how to handle rain in movies. And it's not just that. I mean, the attention to detail of the color palette is also on point. Music by Thomas Newman is excellent. Right from the beginning, when you hear in tune Thomas Newman's score with Lester Burnham's dialogue and narration, it's awesome. I absolutely love it. And the sound design is also really effective, and it's incredible given that this movie was very low budget. Not too low budget, but it was a studio movie, but it didn't have like a huge budget. So it's pretty cool to see a sound design that was that effective. The ending also was really effective for me because it brought together all these different storylines in a 90s-esque fashion, because the 90s was when it all started with the like not non-linear fashion. I mean, that was the case, but like when you have all these characters and like they're all meet with a single event that happens. This is one of those movies, and I think it does it very well. And I think the ending works very effectively. And that's why, honestly, American Beauty, for me personally, I think it's a flawless movie. I know some people might not, sit well with like Kevin Spacey in the lead role now that everything's coming out in the open, and some people might also like the premise or how certain things come to play. They might not think it ages well, but me personally, I have no problems with any of that stuff. I, in fact, think this movie's aged like a fine wine, very well. And honestly, for me personally, American Beauty, it's one of my favorite movies, if not my favorite movie right now. And that's why I personally would be giving American Beauty a 5 out of 5 star rating, which there's like a hot sauce rating. It's the good old ghost pepper rating. Now, ghost pepper rating, I don't give this too often. And that's why American Beauty, it's something special if I'm giving this bad boy rating out. So I would highly recommend you check out American Beauty if for some reason you haven't seen it before. Also, side note, I usually don't talk about box office numbers, but American Beauty winning Best Picture is awesome. But I mean, in today's day and age, we all know that what wins Best Picture isn't for the audiences, because usually those movies don't make a lot. American Beauty made a lot of money. And I'm not saying that box office has to do also with Best Picture Gold. In fact, usually it's the opposite. But it's so awesome to know that in 1999, a movie that was so artsy and ambitious like American Beauty could win Best Picture. I don't know, that really makes me happy because it brought the world together. You had mainstream audiences, art house fans, critics, all combined to love a movie like this. And it brings joy to me, honestly. It brings joy knowing that was the case in 1999. And I'm hoping that happens yet again, because as much as I love Spotlight and Moonlight, those are some of the best movies of the 2010s. They don't have that box office draw the way American Beauty somehow was able to muster up. And I'm hoping that somehow happens again. Again, not saying money equals great movie, but I don't know. It would be awesome if mainstream audiences kind of get in tune with, hey, masterpieces, the way they did it in 1999 with American Beauty. But that's just my opinion. Guys, American Beauty, you know it. I loved it. Reviewing it. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Did you like American Beauty? Did you not? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. And as always, guys, thank you very much for watching. I'll be reviewing soon probably The Insider, as well as like Fight Club, a couple of those movies, Being John Malkovich, like all those 1999 movies. Trying to get a lot out there, so stay tuned for that. And guys, as always, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget the subscription, notification bell, and I'll catch you guys.